holding Doge, XRP, Bitcoin? Cool. But what's it doing? Just sitting there? That's old news. F assets fix your digital gold. Smart contracts? Done. Staking? Easy. Lending? Oh yeah. All with unmatched security. Over-collateralized. So every asset is backed by greater value. No trust issues. Less risks. Safe, secure, and actually working for you.
If Flare is 3 cents or $30, I'm going to use my Flare the same way that I do now, no matter what the price is, and that's going to be to earn yield. If I want fiat, I don't have to sell my digital assets for fiat. I can just use my assets, hold on to them, never sell them, and generate passive. It's so beautiful. It's literally magic.
The way we define it today, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. That's it. There is interest for XRP and such, but we haven't turned that on at the moment.
I mean, right now, we have an opportunity that we have not had as XRP Bitcoin holders, because I'm a holder of both on the Flare ecosystem, to really scale and get our digital assets working for us, while also involving ourselves in the digital asset Flare and all the opportunities that that individual digital asset comes with. I mean, it's literally monumental what has been open to us this year that not a lot of people know about. The AMM feature alone launching on the XRPL, and then fast forward, Flare having all of its launches via its DEX like SparkDEX, Scepter, Kinetic, all of that stuff launched this year on Flare, and it's such a monumental opportunity for those who are willing to accept the risk and expose themselves to that type of risk, because there is inherent risk involved, especially if you don't know what you're doing. But the opportunity is massive. So we'll go ahead and we'll get it started, Carl, because I'm excited today. I'm ready to kick this off. I always enjoy speaking to like-minded individuals, and I'm now a big bag holder of Flare. I like to call myself, like, ever since Kareen in the community put me on, and really I started diving into the oracles and the times and just everything that Flare is doing behind the scenes. Data, Web 2 integration with Web 3. It's massive, and it's definitely slept on, in my personal opinion. So we'll kick it off. I just, because I want to we'll get into Flare. We'll kind of transition into that. I want to show the individuals and just capitalize on answering a question. But you commented on this post where I said holding digital assets is cool, but holding digital assets and earning yield is way cooler. I want to really get into why I said this and show people a perspective that DeFi and earning yield on your digital assets is not just coming from retail investors like us telling you guys that this is possible. It's the new norm. It's the future. And so I just want to kind of generally and broadly ask this question to you, Carl, is why do you think DeFi is important for people to understand? I want to hear your perspective, and then I'm going to kind of dive into some things that I found recently that solidify my perspective that it's going to become the new normal. So if maybe you can just kind of facilitate an idea to the people why you think learning DeFi and understanding these digital assets and what they're truly capable of is important for everybody that's involved right now.
Yeah, DeFi is really important because it's really the next financial system, and it's mostly because it's eliminating any counterparty risks. That's the main benefit. Mark Cuban just made a brilliant post, by the way, about the fact that, the banks need to be scared. But as you know, with Flare, they've actually created a pathway for the banks, as you specifically were sharing earlier. IDA is basically that they're moving forward with the stable coins and how you can profit from the stable coins. And basically Flare creating the F assets, for instance, they're onboarding those institutions in the form of agents that are going to provide stablecoin liquidity. So, they get invited to the party too. So you're going to have stablecoins and crypto basically marry each other within this new financial system. And everybody gets invited to the table. That's That's just it. And we're going to vote with our wallets. We're going to have our own liquidity. We can borrow our own liquidity. We can lend our own liquidity. The banks can do that too. Obviously, DeFi is not for a lot of people. In fact, most of the people won't. So the banks are going to be doing it for them. You know, they're going to have accounts. A lot of people are still going to have accounts, even though guys like yourself and me are going to be like wallets. You know, we don't have no reason to have an account because we know how to manage our own assets. And as you know, Flare is allowing us to do that. That was awesome. F Assets just opened up. That's became real. It sold out in 1 hour. Everything was minted. So that was a grand success in its own right. But no, DeFi and CeFi are definitely going to partner here.
You know what's crazy, Carl? Just because I didn't even want to get to this part of the call, but just to show you guys that Carl knows exactly what the heck he's talking about. It's so crazy how things full circle, because I was going to present this today in the call. So check this out. This is an individual representative from this organization called Arch or ARC. And just like literally word for word, what did Carl just say? This is a document from ARC Fundamental on their blog page, and it talks about comparing CeFi and DeFi. And right down here, it says, in conclusion, CeFi and DeFi present two different approaches to finance, each with its own merits and drawbacks. While CeFi offers stability, regulatory compliance, and established infrastructure, DeFi champions decentralization, accessibility, and innovation. As the financial landscape continues to evolve, both CeFi and DeFi will coexist. And what this platform is, this ARC platform, or Arch, however you want to pronounce it, it's a centralized finance platform. You can see it right here. It's listed ARC under centralized finance, mentioned next to DeFi. And what they do is they offer lending capabilities via digital asset products. So you can see right here, if you come over to their platform, you know they have support right now for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And this gentleman, I'll play a video clip real fast. He mentions that they're possibly going to consider, or that XRP is a possible consideration on their platform moving forward. And he also mentions earning yield and the ability for these financial institutions to earn yield. And that's going to be something that is unlocked in 2025. I'll play those two video clips real fast, but I 100% agree, Carl. I think that we are headed into this digital future, this digital transformation. And some people can't really comprehend that that's happening. Number one, because most people don't even have normal financial literacy, like learning about the traditional financial system, let alone now you incorporate all this new information and this new digital technology. And just like you said, some people are going to get it, some people aren't. It's important for the people that are involved in crypto to understand that DeFi will become the normal in crypto, in the niche of crypto, as we progress and move forward. And it's only a way and a means for you to expand and grow your wealth if you do it maturely, if you do it properly. Obviously, of course, there's a risk to it, but if you know what you're doing, it unlocks, exponential opportunities for you to expand your wealth. I'll play these two video clips real fast just so you guys can hear what I'm talking about. This is an individual rep from the ARC. And the first thing he says, I'll play these back to back, is that there's an interest for these financial institutions to lend XRP as collateral. And then the second clip is him mentioning that they're going to offer yield to institutions in 2025. So just take a second here and we'll play this real quick.
So we only accept the most blue chip collateral. The way we define it today, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. That's it. There is interest for XRP and such, but we haven't turned that on at the moment.
The reason why I find that it's important that he said that is because the institutional interest to expand their digital asset reach is only going to continue to increase. So right now they might only offer 3 or access to 3 digital assets, but in the future, that's only going to expand, and it's only going to expand as this space matures. So that was just the first quick video.
Yeah, and anything over $1 billion market cap is actually considered blue chip anyway, but they are going to broaden that.
110%. And I think that a lot of people can't come to terms with that because we've been manipulated into believing that there's only going to be a certain handful of digital assets that survive. But I'm starting to see that we're actually going to evolve to an ecosystem where a lot of these digital assets that actually have real world value and utility survive long term. It's going to be a very large handful of them, not all the ones that exist today, but you can kind of tell. You can pick apart pieces of the puzzle. You can look at the partnerships. You can see the connections and the networking that's happening behind the scenes. And that's something that we never had the ability to do in previous revolutions. Like the last industrial revolution and the last era of the internet back in, let's say, the late 90s, early 2000s, people didn't have the ability to do research into these organizations or these companies, or in a case now, these digital assets, um, like they did back in the day. I think we talked about it a little bit like in our last call, didn't we, where we mentioned the research is not the same now. If you're not doing the research, you're kind of doing yourself an injustice because they kind of tell you this stuff in advance. So here's that video clip real fast of him mentioning. I just want you guys to hear it, because keep in mind, this dude right here sitting on stage, he meets with large financial institutions, and he's the one saying that they're going to be offering yield to these institutional clients. Take a second and listen.
But then the flip side of borrowing is getting interest on your assets, right? So maybe you don't want to borrow,
yeah, of course,
but you want
to yield on
exactly
Bitcoin.
And so we're doing it in a fully regulated manner, coming out in Q1 for interest in dollars and Bitcoin. And on dollars, it's going to be very interesting.
So you guys heard him say that they're going to be offering their clients, the ability to earn yield on Bitcoin. And, at the end of the day, we'll get to Flare assets in just 1 second, but Flare assets, again, opens the ability for us as retail investors to utilize Bitcoin and XRP in the Flare ecosystem to earn yield, to get our digital assets working for us. I'm super excited to dive into this aspect of F assets with you today, Carl. But to full circle and give you guys my answer to this question, that I asked, which is, why do you think DeFi is so important for people to understand, to kind of elaborate on what Carl said about this new digital transformation, this new digital economy that's coming. Well, we've had that confirmed by very large market participants. This is an individual representative from Circle. I want you guys to listen to what he says, okay? Just to back what Carl's saying about this digital environment. This is pretty massive what he says. He talks about everything coming on chain, real estate, equities, bonds. And when that happens, it's mind-blowing. Take a second here and just listen. Carl, tap into what he says, brother. I kind of want your opinion on this.
Money, digital money, like a digital dollar, digital euro, but also tokenized assets. So I fully agree to what Christoph is saying here. And in the end, I believe that for example, a stablecoin, cash leg on chain, will power such tokenized economy in the future going forward. What we see from Circle is that there are different use cases of the financial industry that are moving on chain. If you ask us, we believe that actually in a few years, ideally there will be a move to an on-chain economy, right? On-chain infrastructure that will power money movements and asset movements. From our experience, what we see is there were, let's say, two waves of mass adoption, right? So the first one is digital trading, digital asset trading, mostly driven by the retail space. And then what we see is that, let's say, the traditional financial industry, when they dip the toes into the water of digital assets, what they do is digital asset trading and then custody service for their clients to offer this. And what we also see is that there is a pretty, let's say, growing space in the market, which is around payments. I would say there is the remittance payments that has been driven again by the retail side. The second wave of mass adoption by institutional players now shows a larger uptake for, let's say, B2B payments that could also then include, let's say, banks doing cross-border payments or banks doing treasury management flows on chain. And then I think last but not least, this is also what Christoph was referring to, is in the end let's say, the global capital markets that move into the tokenization space. When we think about what we do see today is, let's say, tokenized assets that are mirrored on chain. But I think the true opportunity will actually unfold when you have tokenized assets, let's say bonds, shares, stocks, hedge fund, whatever asset you want to tokenize, fully issued on chain. And then this will also enable the cost savings. So I think looking at this as a nascent but
so what he said is, having all of these assets on chain in a digital format is what's going to enable cost savings. And you have to think, bonds, all of these things, it's TradFi coming over to a decentralized way of doing things in a digital environment. And so to back up the question, that this is why I think it's important, because this is happening. It doesn't matter if you want it to or not, it's going to happen. And so if you want to capitalize on efficiencies that you have the ability to capitalize on, like earning yield on your digital assets in this new economy, it's now's the time to educate yourself on this. What do you have anything to say about what he said, Carl?
Oh, absolutely. See, the underlying strength of the DeFi mechanics is the fact that you are eliminating counterparty risks. That is the fundamental strength that is going to bring all assets on chain. And it won't just be Flare, it'll be a lot of chains doing this. However, some of the chains are going to adopt more liquidity than others simply by the very strength of how they acquire this off-chain data that supports the value of these assets, whether it's Pax Gold, which is a real world assets that's been on chain for a long time, but oil, like you said, commodities, real estate is another one. Real estate's pretty complicated though, because you got each area on the planet has a different regulatory regime, state, local governments, and then the broader scope of ownership. But still, you look at all these other assets like bonds and stocks, it's just no brainer that they go into DeFi, because DeFi eliminates any counterparty risk, and you're going to be able to hold your Apple stock, right? You're the custodian.
I agree 110%. I think that people definitely need to understand that some of the different niches in traditional finance are going to take longer to migrate over to a digital format, or into this decentralized way of doing things than others, because of how intertwined they are in the paper-based system. And real estate is one of them. Think of how many properties have been sold where documents have been signed and so on and so forth. And eventually all of that will become digital, but that migration is going to, realistically speaking, take some time and some patience on your behalf to understand that, to get the full benefits of what tokenization of asset class like real estate is going to really bring. Because I mean, for the people that stick around in that niche category, I mean, it's the biggest asset class, if I'm not mistaken, on the face of this planet, right? Isn't that real estate, if I'm not mistaken?
Real estate's very, very large, especially when you get into commercial real estate as well as residential. But yeah, real estate's way up there. And obviously the derivatives market is in the quadrillions, but I'm saying just debt can go on chain. So there's a enormous amount of liquidity coming our way. If you're in DeFi, like today or yesterday, we're saying in the December call with Flare, they had Dune on there. Well, that's an analytics platform, and they are the premier analytics platform that handles these dashboards for the top 30 smart contract chains. And they just announced a partnership with Flare, and then why they partnered with Flare, and it's tremendous. It's tremendous. But that just goes to show you where we're headed. It's definitely going to be a decentralized world.
Yeah, this year was a very solid year for growth across multiple different ecosystems, and Flare definitely being one of the top ones. I mean, they even posted themselves something about recently launching DeFi and how the TVL significantly increased this year. So it's going to be exponential to watch it grow in 2025. Shout out to the CYPRX researchers for this next post. If you guys don't follow them on X, definitely go give them a follow. They're almost at 1,000 followers, so let's see if we can get them up there by the end of December. But check this out, just to show you guys that large financial institutions and regulated entities are talking about this stuff. Check this out. So we posted this the other day before we get to F assets to show you guys that these large organizations are the ones pretty much telling you guys at the end of the day in their documents and through their partnerships that earning yield is going to become the new normal. So this is from November 2024. This is from the IDA in collaboration with Quinlan and Associates. And there's a little tiny small snippet in their document right down here in the bottom left corner. Let's see if I can zoom in, because I know the CYPRX logo is down there in the bottom, but it talks about staking, right? And it talks about lending, and it talks about facilitation and different savings and the effects of crypto. And it says here 39% earning yield on stable coins. It says right here, stable coins, using them to earn yield, such as via decentralized finance. Talks about DeFi in their documents. Well, look at this. This organization, the IDA, the Finance Hong Kong Limited IDA, okay, this is the document right here. And if we come over here to their website, this is it. And look at something that they just recently announced, just to show you guys that, you know, large organizations that are partnering with banks are the ones talking about earning yield in their documents that are recent from this year. December 11th, 2024, IDA, a premier HK-based fintech company, announced its collaboration with the Bank of East Asia. For the record, by the way, Flare, what did they just announce? A partnership with Red Date, who is also in the, you know, Asian region, right? China, okay, Red Date Technology, to support Hong Kong's digital asset market development. This collaboration will leverage IDA's innovative solution of one-to-one HKD pegged stablecoins to explore the feasibility of widespread adoption of digital finance. And this just happened. So think about what the individual representative from Circle said. Think about everything that we've shared with you guys up to this point. The reason why it's so important to understand DeFi is because it's not some niche category like it is now. It's a transformative wave that hasn't fully materialized yet, and you are early. If you are listening to this right now as a recording and you are either tapped into DeFi or interested in learning more about it and getting your digital assets working for you, you are part of the very small percent of the population that's in crypto, and take an even smaller percentage of that population that's in crypto is in DeFi. That's who you're a part of. It's a very, very small portion of the population that is literally way ahead of everybody else. All right. So that'll lead me into Flare, since we're talking about Hong Kong developments right there. And then with this organization talking about earning yield on stable coins in their documents. Well, check this out. I'm going to play this video clip from Flare. They just posted this December 18th. Myself and Carl talked about this in our last call, is the launch of F assets. Just to do a quick rundown, F assets, where this F asset system is allowing non-smart contract tokens such as Bitcoin, Doge, and XRP, just as some examples and for now, to be used trustlessly with smart contracts on Flare. So, you know, this is massive. This is absolutely massive. It opens the door for DeFi capabilities on assets that have pretty much been siloed from the DeFi ecosystem over the past couple of years, where Ethereum has pretty much had an advantage in the DeFi ecosystem. All of that's about to change moving forward. So take a second here and listen to this little tiny video clip from Flare.
Holding Doge, XRP, Bitcoin, cool. But what's it doing? Just sitting there? That's old news. F assets fix your digital gold. Smart contracts, done. Staking, easy. Lending, oh yeah, all with unmatched security. Over collateralized, so every asset is backed by greater value. No trust issues, less risks. Safe, secure, and actually working for you. Bridge, trade, lend, and stake for greater liquidity in one DeFi hub.
I'm super stoked about that, Carl. I want to get your opinion on it, but I gotta give people some tips real quick, because did you see what they were promoting in that video? Printing money.
Yeah.
Printing money.
See, the exciting part is not just the fact that, let's say, real world assets can come on chain, but now we're talking about derivatives of tokens that are in the form of F assets are coming onto Flare and providing this marriage of liquidity between the RWAs and those digital assets, producing yield in a synchronous way that is a partnership, a collaboration, is huge. And not just as gas, you know, Flare's gas, okay, but as a collateral asset for the backing of those derivatives or the F assets, okay? That's massive. When your TVL goes like this, okay? That's what matters on any chain. No matter what chain you are on, the TVL is more important than the price action, because the price action will come. Okay, it's just a laggard to TVL.
110%. You know what else is just crazy to me is it's like everybody in this market, hopefully, again, I can't speak for everybody, but it's assumable that everybody came to make money, right? And over the past consecutive couple of years, because of the bear market, especially with the FTX collapse and everything that happened with 3 arrows, and just you guys remember kind of 2021 into 2022, we've been psyoped into believing that the best and the fastest road to wealth in this digital asset ecosystem is through hodling, getting up our digital assets and putting them in cold storage. And now, after having spent 2 years in DeFi, I'm like, that is so wrong of a mindset to have. These assets that we hold are powerful, and they literally, just like this little 30-second display, give us equal, literally a level. I think we talked about this last time, a level playing field to the banks. Now, obviously, of course, we don't have millions and trillions of dollars to facilitate, massive amounts of money via small yield percentages, but we now have the ability as retail investors to take micro amounts of money and get it working for us to combat against the devaluation of our fiat currency at an unprecedented historical level. I mean, the fact that anybody with a mobile connection that is involved in this digital asset ecosystem can come into DeFi and start getting assets working for them digitally right from their mobile phone without relying on an intermediary, like you said, is so powerful. And I just don't think people really respect that enough. It's crazy to me that people are knocking this.
Yeah, because even in a bear market, okay, you don't care, because your principal balance is just sitting there while you're getting yield, and you can just live on that yield even in a bear market. And then once the market recovers, you're in the money again. So your principal balance is still sitting there.
I agree with you 100%. Honest to God, the past I can relate to that. The past 2 years, albeit my strategy hasn't changed to dollar cost average in, but I honestly, let me put it to you this way: 2017 to like 2021, 2022 timeframe, before I really started learning about DeFi, I actually cared about what the price of my digital assets were. Now, I honestly could care less, because now there's only a small portion of my digital assets that I actually ever plan on selling for fiat. And honestly, the very large portion, I'd say about 80% of my portfolio, I will probably never sell, because I don't care if Flare is 3 cents or $30. I'm going to use my Flare the same way that I do now, no matter what the price is. And that's going to be to earn yield. If I want fiat, I don't have to sell my digital assets for fiat. I can just use my assets, hold on to them, never sell them, and generate passive. It's so beautiful. It's literally magic. Honest to God, I don't know what else to say to people.
I mean, you what? Here's the deal. The beautiful thing that DeFi offers people, regardless of what token you're in, is the simple fact that everyone becomes a hodler, because the principal balance hodls, and that's what drives TVL, right? And the yields, you can go have fun with your yields, right? You can, go on a cruise, you can pay your rent, you can go to dinner. Your yields fight inflation, right? Because now you have an income that you never had before.
That is true, 110%. And at the end of the day, I try to enlighten people as well. As much as we talk about it and whatnot, there is a strategy behind it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very simple principle. It gives us equal access as retail investors to access yield on financial instruments that we have otherwise been pretty much siloed from, like real estate, just all kinds of, I mean, even just looking at real estate in general, that's what another niche I'm super excited for, because I have a traditional real estate portfolio, and to be able to digitalize that and access that straight through my phone with micro amounts of money, instead of going out, getting a bank loan, that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars that I have to pay interest on just to make passive income from my real estate investments. All of that pretty much dematerializes and goes away because I can now go on chain on, certain networks and platforms in the DeFi ecosystem and earn passive income by investing in bits and tiny little micro pieces of real estate in decentralized finance. It's truly mind-blowing. I'm super interested to see if Flare takes up anything in the real estate niche, or maybe they already are. I just don't know about it. So I know that you had some cool, interesting stuff to talk about in Flare. So now that we're on the topic, let's unfold that demon. Let's get into that. And I'd love to hear what you have to share about Flare today, and just kind of transition over to just talking about the Flare ecosystem and kind of what's been happening and what's been going on, Carl.
See, ever since the birth of Songbird, I always share anything that's latest that's coming out, and I was always accused of being a shill. And it got exhausting because obviously I'm not a paid actor and nobody compensates me to talk good about anything, and I wouldn't take anything. But the latest right now on Flare is, as you know, FS. It's just launched on Songbird. And then I was basically a big fan of Cyclo because Cyclo just launched there the same day that the RLUSD launched. And it's kind of ironic that they both launched on the same day. It was quite interesting. But
do you think that was planned, or do you think it was just coincidence?
I have no idea. A lot of this stuff is so bizarre, and then Scepter is another one for me because, see, what liquid staking does is allow you to still hodl your layer 1, but still be involved in layer 2. It's quite interesting to actually be part of both simultaneously without getting rid of your Flare, Yeah, Scepter, there you go. And then now on top of Scepter's partnering with Cyclo, and then Cyclo is using Scepter's S Flare, which is the liquidity token for Flare, liquid staking, to use as collateral to mint this, what they call the SIZ Flare, the SIZ Flare token. Just launched, as you know, and pretty successfully, I would think. I mean, they I think they within one day they I'm not sure what the numbers are, but they locked up, I think, over 19,000 USD in S Flare. But see, I'm the type of person that I follow concepts. I don't follow partnerships so much because I love DeFi, and I follow the tech. I'm a big shill of tech. I don't. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly it right there. You take that S Flare, you collateralize it, and you mint SIZ Flare. SIZ Flare is the new token, and then there's the receipt, which is an NFT. Yeah, that's an NFT that stores in your NFT wallet until you're ready to unlock that S Flare.
This is such an interesting read. Like the fact, I'm going to be completely honest with you. You kind of got to nerd out to understand this stuff a little bit. It does require some elbow grease and some effort on your part to enlighten yourself, or you expose yourself to risk. But I mean, this is crazy. Instead of following the traditional DeFi pattern of lending pools, interest rates, and liquidation, Cyclo creates a simple primitive, the ability to lock S Flare and mint SIZ Flare. Am I saying that correctly?
It's SIZ Flare. Yeah.
SIZ Flare, a token that can trade between $0 and $1. And then what can you do with this SIZ Flare exactly?
Okay. So that SIZ Flare is basically you're borrowing to yourself. Okay. So you can take that SIZ Flare and go buy Bitcoin or XRP or more S Flare. And what's interesting about S Flare is you get flare drops, you get delegation rewards, you also get what's called minting fees. Okay, So you're getting this compounding asset that you're locking up at the same time that you're getting this SIS flare to go buy something else, which could be more S flare. So it's a really incredible loan to yourself. Now here's the deal. The higher the price SIS flare goes, the more borrowing you're likely to do, because they incentivize borrowing the higher it goes in value. Now, the lower it goes in value, that's when you want to unlock your SIS flare, because you want to do what? You're going to buy it cheaper. So you buy the SIS flare cheaper to go and unlock your S flare. So it creates a loop. See, there's two people involved here. You got market makers on one side that are simply arbitraging the SIS flare, right? Because of the market volatility between $0 and $1. And then over here, you have the appetite for borrowing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the perfect collaboration in DeFi, is the appetite for lending and then the appetite to arbitrage. And there's a lot of money in arbitrage, man.
No, 100%. Yeah, this at the end of the day seems extremely interesting. I got to read up on this for sure. I mean, I remember you talking about Cyclo last time. It's definitely something that I'm going to need to brush up on. But I mean, just reading the docs alone is crazy. The Y lock S flare and mint S flare. You got me when you said you can pretty much stake your S flare, and in return, you can receive this SIS flare, and you can take it, and you said you could go buy Bitcoin, you could go buy XRP with it. And I mean, it's almost as if you lock up one asset, and then you can go and you can expose yourself to another mirage of assets through this SIS flare, and pretty much almost double dip in a sense.
Double, triple.
I mean, and it almost looks as if there's some type of loop in a sense that we could tap into as well. Again, not financial advice. Once you learn it properly, of course, where you're just earning yield on yield on yield on yield. You're earning yield here. You're earning rewards here. You're earning things here. And it's like a never ending reward loop. I mean, you're laughing, but it's the truth. And that's the crazy part of DeFi. Like that's why I think it's so crazy. Like, I feel like a lot of people are, how many views does this have? 868 views. Like, I truly believe they purposefully put wherever they're minting this dollar that you could see in the video here, they're minting dollars. They're printing money here. They did this on purpose, and they didn't just use dollars as an example. Let's see if this is euros. Is this euros? Looks like some other foreign currency here. I mean, this is global. These capabilities are global. The same capabilities that everybody you're watching has on Flare, so does someone in the lowest income earning area through nothing but a mobile device and an internet connection. And so if you're not going to take advantage of everything that we're talking about here, you can be damn sure that somebody that has never had exposure to financial, I guess, equilibrium, being able to operate on a level playing field they're coming. And this is just equitable access, I guess you could say, to financial markets. This is what this unlocks. This is crazy, Carl. I'm super excited to dive into Cyclo.
Everybody is invited to the party, regardless of your income status, because when you look at traditional finance, a lot of people are unbanked. And yes. I'll tell you why they're unbanked. They're forcing these banks to lower fees, right? And as they force banks to lower fees, they're just deciding, okay, we don't want these clients. You're blocked from doing business with us because we can't. We're taking on too much risk and no money because you're not worthy of doing business with us. So you got a whole class of people becoming unbanked. Or here's another thing. They're unbanking people just because they touch crypto. Like they're allowed to tell us what to do with our own money. So crypto doesn't do that. Crypto is all inclusive. Everybody gets invited to the party.
Even just reading why they chose Flare, like, this is interesting because of like what this is kind of what you were talking about with the time series oracles, the Cyclo protocol works better on Flare than any other network because it utilizes the Flare time series oracle. Keep in mind, Link isn't Chainlink an oracle blockchain, right? Like where they like it's in comparison, not comparison to Flare, but I hear Hugo Filion talking all the time about how the Oracle series on Flare is way better than any one that exists now to this day, including Chainlink. And it says here, Sysflare mints are backed by US dollar Oracle prices. Other networks do not have native oracles. So there is a disconnect between the trust model of the underlying native asset being deposited in the feed provider, as the value of Flare is backed by the same security model as the FTSO. Many perverse initiatives or incentives, or potential exploit factors on the Oracle are avoided. That's crazy.
Yeah, not only that, you cannot be liquidated. You're borrowing your own liquidity. You can't liquidate yourself, okay? Not only that, you don't have an oracle providing fake data. It's on chain. The oracle's on chain. And guess what? That price changes like under 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, you can go on the website and pull up. Well, you can pull up the actual model and you can see the price changing in real time.
Do you have that information on your computer that you could share or no?
Well, it's on my
asking.
wallet, and I'm not,
Yeah, sure. I just you said to pull it up, so I didn't know if you had it or whatever you wanted to do.
They might have an example here. What?
This is crazy to read. I mean, this right here in their docs talks about exactly what you were just mentioning, liquidations. If anybody wants to learn about this, it says right here, every mint burn is 1-to-1. The system is guaranteed to be fully collateralized at all times, eliminating the need for liquidations. What I like about this and I find crazy is they're almost kind of throwing shots at these other organizations. It says right here, DeFi products based on loans, MKR, Aave, Comp, which are all the biggest leading DeFi platforms, are all over collateralized. To enforce collateralization, these products actively auction off user assets if their value falls relative to the loan. That's crazy. This is similar to a bank selling your house when the local housing market dips, even if you are up to date with all your payments. This is done to maintain a tight peg on some other asset like DAI, avoid a positive feedback loop of volatility and leverage that could destabilize the ecosystems they provide credit into, and mitigate risk of collateral going. So hold the fuck up. Hold on. Excuse my language, but this is pretty much saying that these Aave, Comp, all these other DeFi products are kind of just doing the same stuff that traditional finance is doing and calling it decentralized finance. And this Cyclo is like literally calling this out and saying, no, we don't do that here. Wow, you're onto something here, Carl.
When you have a better product, you got to showcase that benefit. Okay, that's how you sell anything, right? Whether you're Nike, you're just trying to sell the attributes of what you're selling. So really what they're saying is, okay, you don't need a credit score.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need someone's approval. You're not filling out an application. Everybody's invited to the party. No one's denied credit, okay? Because you're borrowing from yourself, okay? So you can't be liquidating yourself because it's your asset to begin with. It's almost like the perfect loan. And a lot of people, it's going like this, bud.
Yeah, right over their heads. Well, at the end of the day, too, it's kind of weird along my process. I've tried to learn to remember myself before I stop drinking the juice, if you catch my drift, and I remember, because I was in the military for 5.5 years, I remember my life before I got out. I was like super drinking the juice, and things like this would have definitely flown over my head because I lacked education. I lacked financial literacy. I lacked the understanding of the opportunities because I closed the doors. I didn't want to learn further. I thought that making money and just earning a 9 to 5 income and retiring by 60 was the key to success. So sometimes maybe people need to tap into calls like this, Carl, and they need to hear this. Maybe it's their first time hearing this. And I'm super ecstatic that people like myself and you exist in this space, to bring this to people's attention, because this is crazy. And I mean,
it's unbelievable, isn't it? This is like when you sit there and you dig into this simple little, and there's only a few lines of code that this thing does. But it's because of the architecture of Flare, it makes it possible. Does it make sense?
100%. Yeah, I'm definitely
most chains could not do this.
I'd say if not many of the chains cannot do this, because I think that's, like I said, I mean, Cyclo, they literally just called out DeFi products here. I've heard multiple times Hugo Filion, even though it doesn't really get much attention, say on stage that Flare is unlike any other network that exists right now. And it's gotten no attention. Honestly, in my personal opinion, Flare is one of those sleepers. Flare is one of those sleepers that is going to exponentially expand in the near future, not to shill it, just based off of research that I've done.
I'm glad you said that, though, seriously, because I'm a fan of, I shill technology.
Yeah.
Okay. It just so happens there happens to be tokens involved here.
Yeah.
So if you want to call me a shill based on that, you would be fair. It would be fair. But that's not really my agenda. See what I'm saying? I'm not compensated. I'm not, a paid shill. I'm a big fan of the technology, and it just so happens
use it. Yeah, and you're a believer just like me. I know you have this feeling inside of you, because I can just tell the aura that you give off. You naturally gravitate towards helping people reach enlightenment and become the best versions of themselves. And I know it's unfortunate that most people don't believe that to become the best version of yourself in this reality, you kind of have to be financially free. If you're always sacrificing your time to the man to make dollars that we can print ourselves, you're always a slave to the system. And this DeFi reality that we're headed into unlocks you from that system to some degree. To some degree, we're always all going to be trapped inside this, firmament that is all a prison, but it at least gives you some form of freedom, in a sense of alleviating your time from going and spending it trying to make a dollar, when in reality you could just become your own bank now. I mean, it's literally mind-boggling, the capabilities that you have through the utilization of decentralized finance. And the craziest part is we're early, people. We're so early to this niche, that it's really truly crazy that people put this on the side and don't give it any attention.
There are literally billions of people that need financial services that are not even invited to the party. If once you dig into that fact, and all they need to get on Flare and to participate in banking services like we just described, all they need is a cheap phone. They download the Flare app, they download a wallet.
Very cheap phone. Equal access.
Yep. They're invited to services that they cannot do in their homelands.
The craziest part is that this is happening for the first time ever. I think that's the thing that people don't understand, and that's why they're having a very hard time comprehending it, is because it seems so almost sci-fi, right? It seems so far out to believe that we now have the power that the elites have had over the past 100 years, 200 years, so on and so. I mean, pretty much our, whatever existence. That goes so deep into like energy shifts of the globe and whatnot that people don't even understand. But the power is slowly shifting back into the hands of the people, and it's not going to fall into the laps of the people that don't gravitate towards it. You have to gravitate towards this stuff and actually care to change your old way of thinking. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now are endless. And if you can change your old way of thinking, then trust and believe their opportunities in this space right now not just hodling. The hodl mindset, like you heard this little tiny 30-second video clip say, that's old. That is old and gone. If you still think that hodling is your road to financial wealth in this crypto niche, then you're living in like 2017, 2021. You haven't transformed with the moving tide. You're going to get, I mean, I hate to say this to followers and viewers, but you're going to kind of low key get left behind. So, you know.
Yeah. And not only that, okay, when you look at centralization, you look at the dollar bill, what do you see? You see a pyramid, okay? DeFi literally takes the pyramid like that.
Mm-hmm.
So DeFi is actually going to be the base layer of financial services, not that point.
Yeah, the top of the pyramid. It literally, it just like you said, it replaces, it replaces the hierarchy and puts it in the hands of the people. It's so crazy that we're talking about this right now. Like the fact that we get to live through this is honestly mind-boggling.
And it's not a conspiracy. This is a fact.
It is 110%. And I've tried to do my due diligence on YouTube and on Twitter to prove to people that it's not this is not our opinion. I've shown people institutional facts. I've shown people documents, just like I showed you guys today, from regulated entities that are telling you guys this stuff is happening. This is not some cuckoo tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theory just because you don't understand it. If you take the time to understand deeper, you will reach enlightenment on it, and you will open opportunities. Like I said, I mean, that's all I can say. We can sit here and we can talk about Flare, we can talk about DeFi, but it will take you, once you get off this call with us, to push yourself a little bit further. Join mentorship programs, research, watch videos, watch all the content that nobody else wants to watch, and actually open up these fundamentals and read through them. Go through these platforms like we just did on Cyclo and actually read through the documents and understand what these platforms offer. That's what it's going to take on you. But once you surpass all of that, you get to this just awakening, and it's like, holy crap, look at what I can do. My XRP went from, or my Flare went from sitting in my cold storage wallet doing nothing to becoming a powerful resource to earn me and generate me an endless supply of money, an infinite supply of money. You're literally tapping into trillions of dollars. Like, it's crazy, Carl. I think that for today, I think that's pretty much all I had. We covered a lot, man. I mean, we're already an hour in. I always appreciate your time. I didn't know if you had anything else that we could jump on board with today. If not, we can save it for another day, but we're already an hour in. This was a really good informational call.
Yeah, I like to cover things, you know, as they come hot off the press, because I like to be able to share my vision of that product. And it may or may not cut my mustard, you know.
Sure.
But I can tell you right now that Scepter and Cyclo, that cuts it, man, for me.
Yeah. Definitely don't spread yourself too thin. I think that facilitating your attention on a couple different platforms and then mastering those, just like in trading, right? Because that's what I do by profession, is I trade, but I don't sit there and trade 20 different currency pairs. I fixate my attention on like 2 or 3.
Oh, I would like to touch on something though.
Go ahead. Absolutely, Carl.
The Cyclo guys were actually saying there's a very good chance there will be a CY FXRP, a CY FBTC, a CY Doge. You see where I'm going with this? Is as these F assets come on board, they're also going to have this to leverage, this Cyclo technology for their family of tokens too. So again, I'm speaking on the behalf of the tech, not any specific token. I hope I'm clear there. See, I'm just as big of a fan as the XRP people are to be able to do what I've been doing, which is minting SysFlare to lock up my liquidity to go and buy some more S-Flare or Flare, and then do this over and over. pretty soon the XRP people can do the same thing. Bitcoin people can do the same thing. So I'm showing this tech for everybody. Everybody. You like that? Because that's the truth, man.
Yeah, it is the truth. And at the end of the day, there's going to be always a people in a group of individuals that ignore it. But like I continue to mention, the opportunity that beholds the people that don't and that tap in are unprecedented. So I appreciate your time, Carl. I think we'll cut it up there. I'm gonna end the recording, man. If you want to stick around for a minute, I got a couple of all-seeing questions to ask you. But yeah, brother, as always, I appreciate your time. And if you guys ever, let me just do a shout out real quick so you guys know where to find Carl on X, because I'm assuming that this video will probably get a couple thousand views. Let me pull up your Twitter real quick, Carl, so that way people know where to find you at. Here's Carl's X profile. You guys can see right there. There's his handle, so you guys can give him a follow. Right, he's got a blue check, and make sure you guys aren't following any scam accounts or anything like that. I don't know if Carl has any, but sometimes there's scammers out there that try to impersonate us. But yeah, give him a follow. Great information. Always posting out good valued content, and just keeping you guys up to date on the Flare ecosystem. He's always involved here, and so he's definitely been somebody that I'm, looking at for more information on Flare as it comes out, because he covers it in a very good way. So outside of that, Carl, if you have anything for the people before we hop off, now's your chance, man.
Yeah, guys, get involved in DeFi, because knowledge is power and DeFi is freedom. You're literally going to take control of your assets, and you're going to be able to have compounding yields.
Yeah. Those two words right there, compounding yields. There's nothing better than that in financial services. I mean, compounding yields, yields. Well, with that being said, everybody, blessings to you guys. I'm going to end the call. Carl, I'll stick around for just a minute with you, brother, and talk. But everybody, we appreciate the love and the support as always. And we'll see you guys in the next podcast. Everybody take it easy.